The smoke meta is in a frenzy right now, with the power rankings in the class fluctuating by the week. Learning how to properly pilot controllers should be a high priority on every Valorant player's list, no matter if you want to main them or not. And without you knowing, the time could come where you'll need to fill in. What's going on, ProGuides family? It is your host, Sergeant Frost. And today, we're talking about the best default smoke placements for every map in Valorant. This video is packed with info examined from recent pro play, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe and get ready to take notes. And also, make sure to head over to our website, ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches are trained to help you improve at rapid speeds. So click the link in the description if you're interested, and let's get started. Bind is a map that is dominated by the standard smoke controllers, Omen, Brim, and Astra. This map has high vantage points, cubbies, no traditional mid, and big spaces inside of bomb sites. Knowing where to properly place smokes when attacking will be crucial for winning a round with little difficulty. For the A bomb site, if you're executing from A short, the two most important smokes you must place are on the edge of truck and one on the ground between truck and cubby box, as seen in this clip. These smoke placements are designed to block vision from heaven and the rest of the site at the same time. This is the safest smokes you can throw that will allow you to get onto site with the least congestion from enemies possible. If your team is splitting and you want to plant from shower side, then you would place a smoke on heaven ledge and one in between the triple box and truck. B site on Bind has more standard smoke spots, as there's only two areas that defenders can funnel into the site from. The first smoke you should always throw is an elbow. This smoke prevents attackers from getting shot from a common defensive hiding spot, which is an elbow and backhall's elbow entrance. The second smoke you should throw is in backhall's CT entrance. Putting a smoke here makes it dangerous for rotating defenders to try to run in, as they won't be able to see what's going on inside of sight. It gives the attacking team time to set up inside of sight without defenders having a chance to peer in through backhalls. ICEBOX is a map that is very large and has very long lines of sight, which means standard smokes don't always get the job done. And oftentimes, teams will run a Viper for her wall, or they will run a standard smoke agent and bring Viper along with to block vision on B site, for example. Smoking on ICEBOX depends on what your team is looking for out of a controller. Both Viper and the standard smoke agents are viable and can be used uniquely on this map. With that being said, let's focus on the smokes for standard controllers for the sake of this video. On A site, the first smoke you want to place is on the ledge of rafters past the A nest area. A lot of defenders like to post up there and AWP for free picks. Placing a smoke right at the edge of where rafters meets nest means that the AWPer can't hold a tight angle looking into A. The second smoke you want to throw is a screen smoke between nest and the edge of screens. This smoke will prevent backside defenders from seeing your team enter the bomb site through the maze area. Since B site is recently changed, the meta smokes placement has adjusted itself a bit. The most optimal smokes now for B site is inside of the nest on B site and in between the tower and the building, cutting off Snowman's line of sight. These smokes prevent you from being shot from nest, kitchen exit, and from Snowman. There is no need to smoke between the nest and that corner anymore, especially since the plant area has been extended back for the planter to plant safely now. To start off the conversation on Breeze, let's talk about the controller meta on this map. For Breeze, it's really hard to cover ground without a Viper, so it's hard to recommend running any controllers other than Viper on this map. That being said, some teams like XSET run Astra on Breeze as a second controller to take control of space where Viper would be used for the full execute. Breeze is once again a Viper map, and her walls are standard throughout for vision blocking. For A site, angle your wall in T-spawn so that it blocks off close boxes, middle of sight, and the upper rightmost corner of the right pyramid. This wall will prevent any free peeks from backside and the left side of sight defenders. If a defender wants to peek, they will need to walk through your wall and expose themselves first. For B site, you want a straight wall from T-spawn through the half wall inside of sight all the way to back sight. It's imperative that this wall goes through the half wall inside of the site, so that way defenders can't hide behind the half wall to get vision, and it prevents agents like Jet, Raze, and Omen from getting on top of the half wall to see over. Haven is a wide map, with some bomb sites having more than two entrances. Because of this map's layout, standard controllers are recommended for this map. Brimstone is an agent that does pretty well on this map due to the fact that he can place down 3 smokes at the same time, which is great for site executes on sites like A and C. For A site, the smokes are fairly standard and serve good purposes. The first smoke you want to throw is one in heaven window. This prevents heaven peeks and makes site takes generally safer. And the second smoke should be thrown into the A connector door. This cuts off vision for rotating defenders who are trying to gain entry into the site. A tip for this second smoke is that some people like to smoke deep to cover completely, and some like to smoke it shallower to cover the entrance more widely but give the enemy a bit more space to move. B site is very simple, as there are only 2 main smokes you need to be worried about. One smoke in A connector and one smoke in C connector. This site only has 3 entrances, so make sure both side entrances stay covered for as long as possible so defenders are deterred from running and seeing through. Alternatively, you can smoke one side to take control of the other if necessary. C site smokes can vary depending on what info you have on where the enemies are. Standard smokes for C site mainly are placed in garage C site entrance and in back site CT entrance. These 2 smokes prevent your team from being shot from garage, and it prevents rotating defenders from seeing and running in. C site does have a few secondary smokes seen often in pro play. Oftentimes, a controller player can smoke on top of platform if they know the defending team has a chance of an AWP being used in the round. This prevents any attacker from being killed by an aggressive AWPer standing on top of platform. Another secondary smoke is between platform and middle site boxes. This smoke makes it harder for backside defenders to peek into C long. A lot of times, AWPing players will hide behind site boxes and take a quick AWP peek down C long to catch attackers running in. This smoke does cut off that line of sight, although beware, it does make it harder to take backside control. Ascent is another map where standard controllers thrive because of their reliable smokes and useful utility. Omen and Brimstone are two great controllers that can handle the main smoke role for this map. The standard smokes for A-side Ascent is one smoke in tree room door. This smoke prevents your team from being shot from tree room. Even if the door is closed, a smoke is still needed because defenders can break the door down easily if they wanted to get through. And the second smoke for A-side goes on top of heaven where the wall breaks. This way, defenders will have to step out of the smoke and expose themselves if they want vision into the site, and it makes their peek a lot riskier overall. The standard smokes on B site are in CT entrance archway to B site and on top of the platform that connects market to B site. Both of these smokes cut off CT entrance rotates, and it prevents defenders in market mid from seeing into the bomb site as attackers run in. A key thing to note is to make sure both of these smokes are flush with the wall. Defenders who are quick on their feet will sometimes peek out of a smoke looking to get quick shots off. And as we all know, this bomb site is prone to enemies hiding in close smokes. Many times defenders in market will like to quickly run out of market onto the platform to shoot at attackers running through lane into sight. Before we move on, we have to get to our question of the day. Today's question is, who is your favorite current smoker to play in the meta right now? For me personally, even though I've always been a default Omen user, I'm really enjoying Brimstone on some maps as his kit plays really well. Let us know who your favorite smoke agent is to play in the meta right now in the comment section down below. Now let's get right back into the video. Fracture as a map in pro play often has a Viper instead of a traditional smoker. So this could be a Viper map or a normal controller map depending on what team comp your team wants to run. For our personal recommendation, if you can't run Viper on this map, we highly recommend running Brimstone for smokes because his ability to place 3 smokes at once will come in handy when smoking on places on this map. For A site, where you want to smoke his Brimstone will heavily depend on what attacking split your team is running and where your team plans to attack from. If your team is only attacking from A main side and you plan to split ropes in A main, then you want to place a smoke in ropes window, in A link, and on A drop. This way, all the angles you can be shot from are now smoked, and you only have to worry about what's on site. If your team elects to not go rope and go all out in A main, these smokes will still apply. If your team is splitting A main and A drop, then you can smoke rope and then do a double smoke on A link and the other side of the door of A link to cut ropes off. If you know you have teammates coming from all 3 directions, A main, ropes, and A drop, then all you need is a rope smoke and an A link smoke, because then all the site entrance points will be contested by your teammates. And finally, the least common option is if you have a full A drop rush. Then you'd want to smoke A main, ropes, and A link. For B site, this site can be a little tricky for smoke since it's so open, but there are a couple strategies that work well. First, for this site, you usually always want to send at least one player to arcade so that way you can pinch the site and then not have to worry about smoking off arcade. For smokes, you want a double smoke generator as seen in this clip, because one smoke is not wide enough to cover this huge gap between generator and this wall. And for your third smoke, make sure to smoke off canteen as rotating defenders love to take this route to get deeper into site quickly. A thing to note for B site, even though it seems like a good idea, is to never smoke off tower. Tower is an essential point you need to gain control of when attacking to clear out the bomb site, and smoking tower at all is counterproductive for you getting site control. Like Fracture, Split can be a Viper or a regular controller map depending on team comp. But let's talk about standard smoke placements that you need to know for this map. For A site, your main goal is to be able to walk out of A main and not get beamed from angles that you can barely see. So the 2 main smokes you want to place is one on heaven window to prevent your team from being shot from heaven, and one in screens. Oftentimes, AWPers like to hide in screens because it's hard to contest AWPs from all the way back there, and a simple smoke here could keep your team alive for a lot longer. For B site, the 2 main smokes you want to throw is in heaven and in CT site entrance. The heaven smoke is key to make sure your team has safe entrance into site. The CT smoke is to make sure no players hiding in B alley can see inside of site and to have the courage to walk out of cubby and contest you. Well guys, that's going to wrap it up for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this smoke placement guide and you can use it to better your play in ranked. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. If you want more tips to become an even better player, make sure to check out ProGuides.com. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all in the next one.